Minister, for a government that has prided itself on transparency with Canadians, can you answer, please, why partners and airline sectors within these negotiations regarding this upcoming plan, which you've committed to, were required to sign non-disclosure agreements, please? Can you comment on that, please? Leaving everyone in the dark as to what we can expect and when we can expect it.
Negotiations will involve disclosure of financial information, disclosure and discussions about various options. And Canadians will know that I'm not able, if I say something now and then the negotiations end up taking another turn, that will end up causing misinformation for Canadians. So I think my colleague understands why I don't have the ability to talk about the machinations of the negotiations that are taking place. And I think my colleague knows why it needs to be confidential until it's completed.
Ms. Cusi.
Thank you, Chair. My colleague mentioned previously about how when the pandemic is over, or finally we hope the government is successful in their vaccination efforts, or perhaps utilizing the tools of vaccines and rapid testing that we have been encouraging the government to do for so long. Even then, when the airline sector opens again, there will have been an incredible loss of market share that we have seen over this time, and which I've mentioned in the House, and we consider to see, for example, with the implementation of the travel restrictions, whereby American carriers can still fly Canadians to sun destinations. Will this plan include a strategy for dealing with the loss of market share, which will take years for the airline sector, Canadian airline sector, to recover?
Minister.
Mr. Chair, let me just correct the record. No American airlines can take Canadians to the sun destination. They have to stop. If they do, then they are buying multiple tickets to get to the sun destination. There are no direct flights between Canada and sun destinations. Now, having said that, the short answer to her question is yes. We are committed to working with the airline sector and making sure that they are strong and ready for a recovery post-COVID.
Excellent. And when, again, the pandemic passes as a result of the vaccines, which we genuinely hope are procured and distributed soon, which so many Canadians have been waiting for, and Canadians are finally able to go on that vacation to visit their families they haven't seen in so long, or to take some time together as families or friends when this is all over. But there will be such incredible demand and yet such a lack of supply as a result of this government's inability to support the airline sector to maintain a certain level of service. So we'll see so many Canadians who want to go on these trips, yet the price of tickets as a result of lack of supply will be sky high. Is the government willing to accept responsibility at that time for not having intervened sooner, rather than allowing airlines and airport authorities to take the hit at the time when Canadians again are willing to travel, but will have to pay so much more as a result of this government's longstanding inaction? Will the government take responsibility at that time? Minister, please.
Mr. Chair, I think that's more a statement than a question, and I disagree with her premise, but let me repeat what I said. We are committed to working with the airline sector on making sure that we have a strong and resilient airline. We're committed to working with the airline sector on a plan through the recovery, where we think some measures will still be in place, but we want to make sure that the airlines and passengers are able to travel and operate safely. So yes, our commitment is solid to the sector.
Ms. Cusi.
Thank you, Chair. And further to that, Minister, thank you. On January 29th, the Prime Minister has stated he was committed to the safe restart of the travel and tourism sector and working on the relationship with testing and quarantine. And of course, I'm from Alberta, where we have the successful YYC pilot project, which I think would have been far easier to implement at international arrivals across the country rather than going through the process of the 3-day quarantine. So I'm asking you then, Minister, what actions have you and your colleagues taken specifically for the safe restart of the travel and tourism sector relative to testing and quarantine, please?
Mr. Chair, the best way for us to recover is by defeating COVID. that is the best and most most effective plan. That's why our government is focused on ensuring vaccine supplies for all Canadians who want to be vaccinated. That's why we are imposing difficult but necessary travel measures to protect against the importation of infection and the new variants. That's why we're guided by public health advice throughout this process. This is I don't personally take any joy in these difficult decisions, but they are necessary. This is what true leadership means, Mr. Chair. It means making tough decisions.
Well, Leadership Minister
Canadians.
would have been implementing rapid testing and testing on arrival so that these drastic measures weren't required, Minister. But I hope certainly you will have more success than your predecessor. Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Chair.